I'm here with Scout. This is Scout. And in this video, we're going to go over how to play the Engage, Disengage game. Scout is a dog that is a rescue dog, so we don't know her background, but she is not a big fan of other dogs. So the Engage, Disengage game is a game that actually teaches the dog, first of all, to look at someone and then get rewarded for doing that. And eventually the second stage is to look away from the thing and be rewarded for that. So I'm going to take the part of being the stimulus in this case. The guardian is over here. I've given her some treats and she's going to go ahead and call Scout out. Now when you call Scout, you want Scout to be orientated towards where the person is. So go ahead and call her and have her sit right in front of you looking towards the door. So hold up a treat. There you go. All right, so I'm going to tilt the camera a little bit. So what you're going to do is, and we're going to use a marker word for this. A lot of people use a clicker, but we're going to use a marker word. So Scout's marker word is thanks. So whenever Scout looks at me, the guardian's going to say thanks and then give her a treat. But don't hold the treats out there in front. Okay. Go ahead and just give her that one for now.
Okay.
There you go. So when she looks at me, when she looks at me, so
Thanks. Thanks. Thanks.
Well, you wouldn't do it for a growl.
Okay, that's...
So, you don't like me moving around. Okay. So I'm going to use less movement because Scout's saying I'm uncomfortable. So you never ever want to correct a dog for growling. What she was saying is I'm uncomfortable with David moving around. So that movement was too much for her. So go ahead and reposition her so she's looking that way. So lure her over that way with the treat. And then kind of turn her around. There you go. Okay. So now just wait. And when she looks at me, you're going to say the word. Okay. And I kind of lean back in your couch and cross your arms. There you go.
Thanks. Thanks. Thanks.
Now be careful how you say it. Dogs hear pronunciation, so however you say it is fine, just be consistent.
Okay. Thanks.
Now you want to do this within 2 seconds. At that point, she'd been looking for me a little bit longer than that. So just watch. This is why we call it engage, disengage.
Thanks.
So if I move, I'm going to attract her attention. And movement's always going to attract dogs' attention.
Thanks.
So now what we're saying is just looking at whatever this person or this dog gets me a treat.
Thanks.
And what you're seeing is Scout's doing right there is Scout is looking at me faster and faster. Let me actually adjust the camera a little bit. Scout, you went just off camera. Just wait.
Thanks.
So this is the first stage. So you need to find out what distance. You want to get as close to the thing as you can without the dog reacting. If the dog reacts at all, you are too close and the work is not really, it's invalid. So now my two tests. Thanks. Go ahead and tell her to SIT.
Sit.
I ask the dog for a sit and I try to give it a treat. If a dog will not sit, it's an indicator it's uncomfortable, it's too close. And if I want to take a treat, that can be an indication there's cortisol in their blood. So I would keep on moving away until I can get the dog to easily sit and easily take a treat. Now, at first, you saw me moving around was too much for her. So I can just do it while I'm seated, which is not as big of a movement. And so now I'll go ahead and move my arm. I'll wait for her to kind of be looking at my purview.
Thanks.
So you want to do this ideally in a perfect situation. You would have me being under control of the person with the dog. So that way she can trigger and say, okay, start walking or stop or whatever it is. Let's just work on just, and you can have the person just sitting here and just wait for her to look at the person. And we'll go ahead and do that right now.
Thanks.
So the dog kind of accidentally does it. This is a little bit of operant conditioning. So but when the dog looks at the person, they get rewarded. So we want to do this, and when you're doing this, we're at about 10 feet apart. Well, then next time we practice, we want to have her over there, then over here, then over here, here. We want to kind of get the same distance from different directions. So, and when the dog is consistently looking at me and I say thanks and immediately looking away, Then we're ready to start going to stage 2, and that's a good indication if the dog will lay down. That's an indication they feel comfortable. So stage 1 is we want the dog to look at the thing. You mark it by saying thanks, and they look away, and they're rewarded for looking at the thing. So we're taking away the boogie person aspect of it, making it a good looking at the person. Don't have to do a lot of threshold, just look, and I get a reward. And after we do that enough, your dog's also practicing looking at them and then looking away. So the second stage comes when you're at the same distance, where the dog looks at the person and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it doesn't look away by 5, I might make a kissing sound like, and that usually gets, or you can also say, beep, 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 beep.
Thanks.
And then the dog looks at you, and then you give them the treat. But we're going to wait 5 seconds, and what will eventually start happening is if the table here is the what I'm looking at, I look at it, and then I look away and look up at the handler automatically. Now I'm starting to disengage from the thing that's the boogeyman. Now you can do this in multiple ways of doing this. You want to do what I just described, but you might do stage 1 where I'm at 10 feet and then I move over here and we practice 10 feet and then over there 10 feet. So we're moving the stimulus around, or we're moving around the stimulus, so we get all these different angles. Once the dog does this pretty consistently, then I might move to 9 feet and then practice all those different angles. Then 8 feet, 7 feet, 6 feet. We're gradually going to collapse that distance until we're right next to whatever the thing is. Now, it depends on how reactive the dog is. So we might want to just play the engage game, just getting the dog to look at and then start collapsing that distance. Or you might want to practice engage and then disengage at this 10-foot distance and do all these and then go to 9 feet and 8 foot and 7 foot and 6 foot. So for a dog like Scout, now it's wintertime in Nebraska, so it's not ideal, but what you might want to do is find like a park that has like a path where you can walk away from the path, so the path is consistent in walking in front of you, and that way the distance between all the bicycles and the skateboards and the different dogs that are walking by is going to be the same. And then you're practicing having your dog look at and in either engaging or disengaging from that distance. Then and you might do this multiple times before, then your dog's pretty relaxed, then you move from 10 feet to 9 feet. So you might, where we're at here is not too far away from a dog park. Now I understand we're not going to take the dog into the dog park, but we maybe go, and let's say the dog park entrance is where the camera is and I'm in the parking lot. Well, I could have the person over here, and so as people are walking this way, the dog is looking and playing engage, disengage from being off to the side. So they're not actually engaging with the dogs, but they're practicing being around dogs while they're not reacting. Matter of fact, they're practicing when I look at another dog, I get a treat. Now the dog park can be a little intense because there's so many people, so many dogs there, and the dog play energy is going to be different. I might be able to have Scout within 15 feet of a dog that's walking calmly, but a dog that's running around and barking and all crazy, I might need to move to 25 feet. So you're going to have ebb and flow. But the idea for this is to reward the dog for, again, something that we like, looking at it, and then creating that positive association, and then eventually teaching the dog that if I can look away from it. Now, if your dog really doesn't like the thing, anytime your dog looks away from something, you should try to increase that distance. So if you know that, like, let's say Scout doesn't like people with a beard, well, then maybe then Scout's guardian arranges me to come around, and as soon as Scout, I say, hey, pretty girl, and Scout looks like this, and I turn and walk away. That's called a cutoff signal. So we're training Scout that is, if you don't want to engage with somebody, if you just turn your head, they walk away. Most of the time the dogs bark and growl and lunge, and that causes the people to go away. I'm going to do a t-shirt. It's called What Causes What, because with dogs, something happened, it causes something else. So the dog lunged at someone, the person walked away. Or the person looked at Scout and Scout turned her head and the person walked away. Well, we can create another way for a dog to say, if I don't want to engage with you, I just turn my head and they walk away. I don't have to take it to the next level. Scout. And a little that trepidatious, and that you can see the back legs, there's a little bit of a lean, and she kind of came over slowly. That's her way of saying, I'm uncomfortable. So I'm not going to push for more criteria. It's that lean right there on her steps. So I'm not looking at her. She's going to go straight to my treat pouch. And if I ask her to sit, she takes those steps back because she's saying, I'm not comfortable sitting in this area. That's okay. Eventually we'll get there. But this is my buddy Scout, and this is how you can play the engage, disengage game.